Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome. I talk about this, that, and the other thing and whatever is on my mind. So thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to talk about something that I have never done in my life as an actress, and that is giving up a role. I went to auditions for this play, and it was a spur of the moment thing. I just happened to be cruising online, and one of the theaters that I usually work at had auditions like the day after, and I was like, oh, okay, great. And it's a straight play. I like straight plays. So I don't have to prepare, a dance routine or a song or anything. You just show up and read from the script. Gotcha, I can do that. And I showed up, and the second night, they had auditions 2 nights in a row. I was on the second night, and there was only one other person that showed up. So we got to read a lot. There's like loose hair on me or something. We got to read from the script pretty much the whole time, which we were there for about an hour or so, which is a little short, but there was only 2 of us, so, enjoying my purple wine. I got it because it was purple. Ta-da, purple wine, which is actually red, but, it's purple. I had to get it because of the name. But, true to form, I was cast, and I usually get lead roles. If not a lead, a really decent secondary role. It's very rare that I don't get cast. My percentage of being cast versus not getting cast, I'm cast probably about 95% of the time. And I've been in a lot of productions. I've had the leads. I've been around the block. I've been in theater for 40 years, so it's hard for me to talk about this, even though it doesn't sound like it. But I got this role, and I was ecstatic because it was the lead. But then I went to get my script and highlighted my lines, and lo and behold, I kept highlighting and highlighting and highlighting. This is the kind of lines that the cast had. I mean, the pages, there's a lot of yellow in here. This page scared me, because unfortunately I have gotten old enough and I have certain conditions that just don't allow me to memorize lines like I used to. And I had problems doing my lines in Cinderella, where I was a stepmother. And I had a decent amount of lines because I was a secondary lead character, but I didn't have that many. I don't think I've ever had that many. And I read it through, and I highlighted all my lines, and I told my husband, I says, I don't think I can do this. What do I do? How do you drop out of a performance? I mean, I would feel terrible. And he's like, well, if you don't think you can do it, best to drop out now when they can still find somebody than to wait until the last minute and then realize, yeah, you were right, you can't memorize all these lines, and then everybody's up creek. So I contacted the director a couple days later, and I told him, I said, look, man, I am so sorry. I have never done this before, but I have to decline this role. I just don't think I can memorize that many lines. And he was like, are you sure? You don't want to, you know, come and go through rehearsals and see if you can't get it? And it's like, well, I says, I want to give you the most amount of time to find a replacement. And based on the last several plays that I've done, I've noticed my memory not being as sharp as it once was. And I'm afraid if I overlook my fear of being able to learn these lines long enough, that we're going to have a play that's going to be a complete flop, because I'm not going to know my lines and you will have no time to find another lead. So he said he understood, and I feel so bad. I mean, and to be honest, I just auditioned because I was bored. I hadn't been in a play for a short while and thought, okay, it's a straight play, I'll just go and see what it is. And the storyline didn't really interest me. So I looked up the play on YouTube and watched it, and I got bored watching it. So I was like, okay, I don't know if I can actually be interested in this role in the first place. And then to get the role and to get the role and come to find out it's a lot of lines, more than I've probably ever had to memorize in my state. It just was the best for the play for me to drop out. And oh my gosh, I've never done that, and now I'm afraid to audition for that theater again, because the director of that play is also the main guy at that playhouse. He's always there. He works there. He's the manager and that kind of thing. So I will forever just be ashamed of myself for having to give up a role. But that's what happens when you get old. I mean, I wondered when I moved back why so many of the people I had been with in plays before with, they just weren't there. They still live here, but they've dropped out of doing plays and doing productions. And I thought, well, that's weird. You know, why would you just stop doing theater? That's crazy to me. And now I get it. You know, as you get older, and it's community theater, so you're not paid. This is purely voluntary. But yeah, they found out sooner that the memory doesn't work as well as it used to, and it gets harder and harder to memorize lines. And I found that out the hard way, and I feel so bad. I just really feel bad. And now I'm gun shy when it comes to productions. As far as auditioning, I was like, man, I can walk into auditions and get any role. That's the easy part, because you have the lines in front of you. But to memorize all the lines that go with that, it's like, am I done with that era of my life? Because that's why we moved back to Tullahoma, so I could do theater. And it's just, I don't know. I've never run into this problem before. And I know it's because I'm getting older. I've had problems with memory recently, and I wasn't ready to give up my dream of theater yet. but my mind is telling me I'm on the way out. So I'm gonna have to either give up theater completely or settle for smaller parts. And that's really hard. It's really hard to downgrade what you're used to doing. And you know, for community theater, you're paid in applause. And the more important your character, the more applause you get. And I'm just afraid that I won't get any of the applause anymore. And it's hard to deal with unless you're a theater actor. It's hard to understand that. But I just had to share. I will miss it. And I still intend to audition for parts. Just, you know, I usually do my research beforehand so I know going in how many lines a person has and that kind of thing. This was a unique position where I didn't have the time to thoroughly watch the production and see what role I wanted and what roles I could physically, mentally do. Lesson learned. So that's my story for today. It was kind of a downer, I know, but I know I've been wrestling with it for a while. And the part was recast, and I wish them the best. I know some of the actors that are in the play, and it would have been great to work with them again. But I just have to put the script down at some point. And this was a giant step for me to be able to acknowledge that I'm not as good as I used to be at memorizing lines. So, but I will go for smaller roles in the future, or, you know, shut that chapter of the book. But, yeah. But thank you for listening. Thank you for making my soundboard. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Hit the little subscribe button and hit the like button. And don't hit dislike because, you know, I'm really emotional and that'll upset me terribly. So I'd rather have you not like it, but just not say anything than to not like it and say you don't like it, if that makes sense. But thanks for watching, guys. Bye.